Namaste everyone, welcome back to Zesty Nimbu. This is Sri Rekha. Today we are having a very interesting session with a native Sanskrit speaker, Mrs. Shubha. She is based out of Netherlands and she'll be talking to us about Sanskrit and how it is very important for the next generation. So together we'll talk in a way that we hope it ignites a spark within the next generation's minds. Having said that, today we are going to talk. She's going to give a presentation explaining the linguistic precision of Sanskrit, where how it is very scientific, how it is very logical. Then we'll cover some aspects about the ancient wisdom of Sanskrit. Then the cultural heritage that Sanskrit brings. Sanskrit is a very old language, and most of our ancient texts are written in this language, and how the cultural heritage, uh, because of Sanskrit, our Bharatvarsha is such a great country. And then how Sanskrit helps in understanding modern languages. I have studied Sanskrit. I have studied Sanskrit as well as Spanish for the past decade and a half, and Shubha has been learning Dutch. So, how Sanskrit has been helping us in understanding modern languages, and then how Sanskrit develops a holistic approach towards our life. So, these are some of the points that she'll be covering. At the end of the presentation, she will take questions from the audience and make it more interactive. So, now let's give the stage to Shubha.
Namaste, everyone. Maybe we can start with Asatoma Sargama. We can all chant. Most of you might be knowing, you can chant with me. Otherwise, you can just listen. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. So first I'll tell about myself. I have been learning Sanskrit from a very small age because my mother is a Sanskrit professor, and she's also extremely passionate about Sanskrit. So she taught me Sanskrit from a very small age, and we converse in Sanskrit. Like how you converse in your mother tongue at home, like that I speak Sanskrit in my home with my mother and sister. Even till date, we speak in Sanskrit only among the three of us. So, Sanskrit is like my mother tongue. And then I did BE, that is engineering, and I worked for 1 year as a software engineer, but I didn't like the job, so I quit. And I did MA in Sanskrit from Karnataka State Open University. And then 2 years back, I did MSc in Vedic Sciences from MIT IIKS Pune. Um, Talking about my mother, she's now retired, but she was the professor and head of the department of Sanskrit at the University of Mysore. Um, and she has done PhD in on the mantras used in marriage, and she has written a book also, and that book is published. It contains the marriage mantras along with their meanings. This is a photo where she is receiving the Grantha Puraskar from the governor of Karnataka for one of her books. And another the proud moment for me was my mother receiving the award along with so many eminent Sanskrit scholars. So that is about me and my mother. Now going to the topic of Sanskrit. Everybody says Sanskrit is a very scientific language, and it is a scientific language. It is a very spectacular language. I'll tell you how I'll give some example and tell you how that is. The basic text that people used to study while before learning any shastra is the shiksha shastram. That is the art and science of pronunciation, the phonetics actually. If you take Paniniya Shiksha, that is, it's a small book, just 60 verses, but it contains wealth of information, and it is written by Panini Maharshi. He has gone to great detail, great depth. Any Sanskrit work, Shastra you take, they go into great depth. Now, if I ask you in English, the alphabets are arranged like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like that. If I ask you why it is arranged in that way, I don't think you have an answer. I did a bit of Google research also on this, but I could not find any answer why the alphabets are arranged that way. But if you ask a student of Sanskrit why the alphabets are arranged like this in Sanskrit, he'll be able to tell you clearly the reason. Uh, and Indian languages, most of Indian languages have their base in Sanskrit, so that is why many Indian languages also have the same arrangement of alphabets. So in Sanskrit, why this arrangement? First, we have a, I, I, U, U. They are all vowels. Vowels are grouped together. Then we have the consonants, ka, kha, ga, ga, nga, cha, cha, ja, ja, ya. If you take the consonants, the grouping is very scientific and logical. If you take this first row, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, these sounds come from the Kantha region. Kantha here refers to the place where we have the small tongue. Just pronounce, you can hold here and you can just pronounce these sounds. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. You'll feel maximum vibration here. These sounds actually come from those. And this first row, these letters are called Kantyaha because they come from the Kantha portion. And then next row, if you go, cha, cha, ja, janya, it comes from a place called Talu, which is next to the Kantha region, on the like roof of the tongue, the soft portion, just next to the small tongue. If you observe carefully, these sounds come from there. Just say cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. You will find some constriction in that portion. Then the third row, if you take ta, tha, da, dha, na. These sounds come when the tip of the tongue touches the murdha, that is the hard palate, the roof of the tongue. When the tip of the tongue touches that portion only, these sounds will come. And ta, tha, da, dha, na, they are called dantyaha because when the tongue touches the teeth, then these sounds come. And pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. Oshtha means lip in Sanskrit. When the two lips come in contact with each other, then only these sounds come. So pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. They are called oshtyaha. So if you see this arrangement is based on the human anatomy, and easily you can make out from where which sound comes. That science also is recorded this way. So at the very elemental level of alphabets itself, we find so much of scientific thinking, logical reasoning. Uh, so you can imagine our shastras, how scientific and logical they will be. And when I was working at Akshar Center for Education, which is a Waldorf school in Chennai, there I worked as a Sanskrit teacher for 4 to 5 years. I worked there. Some kids with speech difficulties um, were there in that school. And the school management, they used to give me some time every day to make the kids pronounce the Sanskrit sounds. I used to just make them repeat the Sanskrit alphabets. And it was like very surprising for me to see so much change in their speech. the speech clarity and all started coming. We were able to see a lot of improvement in those kids. And I've not just done this for one or two kids, at least 8 to 10 kids I have done this. And I have seen tremendous results. So, uh, okay. And in this Paniniya Shiksha, which I said is the basic book that the students of Sanskrit study, it is not just Panini Maharshi in those 60 verses, he just doesn't say how to pronounce what. He goes to the depth of understanding how we are able to speak, how sound is produced in a human being, how meaningful sound is produced in a human being. Animals also produce sound, but humans can intentionally speak what they want to. That ability is in humans. How that happens, that Panini Maharshi has mentioned in the book. So this is the shloka. This and the next two or three shlokas describe that, but I will just give a brief idea how it is. This shloka is like this: Atma buddhya sametyarthan mano yungte vivakshaya manah kayagni mahanti saprerayati marutam. So he says, Atma, I think all of you know what Atma is. Atma is that unchangeable thing within all beings. Atma combines with the buddhi, the intellect, which the intellect has all the words, uh, and they instigate the mind with that in desire to speak. Vivaksha means the desire to speak. Then the mind ignites the kaya. Kaya agni refers to the jataragni, that fire which is there in our belly, which is also the reason for that is a digestive fire. So this ignites the digestive fire, and that marutam prereti, it ignites, it gives rise to some vayu, that air. This air comes to the chest region and produces a sound there, and then it comes to the kantha region and produces a different sound, and then it comes to the murdha region and finally comes out as the sound. Now we hear only the sound after it comes out, but people who are into yogic sadhanas, who can sense subtle things, they will be able to hear the sounds that come in, that are produced in the chest, in the kantha region. They will be able to hear such subtle sounds.
Is it the pranavayu that you're talking about?
Uh, this is a vayu that is produced in the, it's specifically produced in the belly, and this is it is driven by the mind actually, which has the desire to speak something. It's a particularly directed kind of vayu which has a purpose, so it comes out as a sound from the body. So to that extent, the Panini Maharshi goes into this in the Shiksha Shastra, in his Shiksha Shastra. So this is about the scientific aspect. In the Paniniya Shiksha, he covers the art of pronunciation also, not just the science but also the art. How we should pronounce. He says it very beautifully, giving the example of a tigress. So the shloka is like this: Vyagri yatha haret putran damshtrabhyam na cha pidayet bhita patana bhedabhyam tadvadvarnan prayojayet. How you're supposed to pronounce the varnas, the sounds is like how the tigress holds the cub. She will not hold it very tightly because it will hurt the cup. Nacha pidayat, it should not hurt the cup. So she'll not hold it very tightly. But at the same time, she will not leave it very loose because then the cup will fall down. So like that we have to pronounce. That is, holding too tight is correlated to pronouncing the sounds with lot of stress. Say for example, I want to pronounce the word Raghavaha. If I say Raghavaha, it's very harsh. It's not good. If I and leaving it too loose correlates to speaking without clarity, very vaguely, Raghavaha. If I say that is also not nice. So there should be a balance. That is the art of pronouncing. And Panini Maharshi also talks about the art of communication, communication skills. If you see, he says, what are the qualities of a bad communicator? He says, Geeti, Shigri, Shirakampi. Geeti is one who speaks always in a particular tune. So some people they speak everything in a particular tune. That is not a good quality of a good speaker. Shigri, person who speaks very fast, that is also not a good quality for a communicator. Shirak Kampi is shaking the head while speaking. That's also a bad quality. Likhita Pathakaha is one who reads from the paper. And Anarthagnaha is without understanding the subject matter, speaking without understanding the subject matter. And Alpakantaha is speaking in very low volume. Shadete Pathakadhamaha. These six are very inferior uh, speakers. And he also tells about the qualities of a good speaker. Madhuryam, sweetness, Akshara Vyaktihi. Each syllable that he speaks is very clear to the listener. Padakchedaha, pausing at a time, he should know where to pause. That skill should be there. Suswaraha, uh, proper tune, proper way, how the in what way you should speak, that he should know. Dhairyam, speaking confidently. And Laya Samartham, pace. One should know what at what pace you're supposed to speak, and also to change the pace depending on the context. So these six are qualities of a good speaker. I have just shown you some 3 4 verses from Paniniya Shiksha, but from this you might be able to make out that it's a wonderful text, just 60 verses, but a lot of value, lot of knowledge you get from it. This is the case with all other shastras in Sanskritam. They're extremely valuable. Not a single word, not a single letter will be unwanted. Everything will have a lot of value in them. So next, these I spoke about the sounds, the alphabets. Now, if you come to the word level, uh, Sanskrit, there is a book called Amarakosha. Has anybody present here heard of Amarakosha? You can put it in the comments if you know, if you have heard about it. This Amarakosha is like a thesaurus. Uh, it has synonyms, and they are grouped together in the form of shlokas. Small kids they were taught Amarakosha at home itself. Before going to the Gurukulam, at home, as soon as the child starts speaking, Amarakosha was taught to them. And by learning, the kids love to recite Amarakosha. I teach Amarakosha to kids, and I know how much they love it. Parents tell me my child is enjoying Amarakosha at home, simply while walking, while playing. She's singing this Amarakosha. So they love to learn this Amarakosha. And if the kid memorizes the whole Amarakosha, the whole Sanskrit vocabulary is in the head of the kid. What is the use of learning this? Why in India this system of teaching Amarakosha for kids was there? It's very very useful. Say if you're reading a shloka or any text, Sanskrit text, you don't need to refer dictionary. As you're reading, you know this is what it means because the whole vocabulary, everything is there in the head. I'll give an example that happened, my experience. In my level 2 classes, I give the students shlokas and I ask them to do the shloka analysis. They have to do the sandhi split, the samasa expansion, word by word analysis, and finally the uh, conclude the meaning of the shloka. So once I gave Annapurnashtakam. The first shloka is this Nityanandakari, Varabhayakari, Saundarya Ratnakari. This word Saundarya Ratnakari was very confusing for everyone. They were not able to do the proper samasa expansion. Is she the maker of beautiful gems? Does that is this word telling that? In that case, also it would have been Saundarya Ratnakari, not Ratnakari. Why is it the Ratnakari? It was very confusing for everyone. Fortunately, I knew the I don't know full Amarakosha honestly, but I know many parts of it. And fortunately, this part of Amarakosha I knew. The Ratnakaraha refers to ocean. It is another name for ocean. So Saundarya Ratnakari means ocean of beauty. So it becomes very easy when the child, when he or she grows up and reads any kavyas, or especially while reading kavyas, we will be in a very that rasa is coming. Rasa is that aesthetic pleasure, but you don't know the word. You have to go to the dictionary. Then the rasa bhanga happens. But if you teach Amarakosha to the kids, that they'll be able to experience the rasa more. So this Amarakosha, I am planning to actually start classes for Amarakosha for kids. Um, how it is, how the Amarakosha is just an example. If you take the ocean, so the various names of oceans are put in a form of a beautiful shloka like this. Samudraha, Abdhihi, Akuparaha, Paravarasaritpatihi, Udanvan, Udadhihi Sindhuhu, Saraswan, Sagaraha, Arnavaha, Ratnakaraha, Jalanidhihi, Yadav Patirapam Patihi, Tasya Prabhedaha, Kshirodaha, Lavanodaha, Tatha Pare. So just happily kids will learn all the shlokas, but uh, when they grow up, they know what sort of value they possess. Now this reminds me of one more question that many people have. Like for example, in Sanskrit, one thing is having so many names and one word is having so many meanings. Then how can you say Sanskrit is such an accurate and precise language? The problem is we are looking through the lens of our English education. In Sanskrit, it's not, the words are not object specific. In English, if you take the word fire, it is this thing is called fire. That's it. But in Sanskrit, it is not based on that object, but based on the properties of the object. We have like 34 names for fire in Sanskrit. But if you look at the word, you if you go little deep, you'll not say this is a waste, just having unnecessarily so many words for one thing. You will not say. For example, I will tell you, take this word Agnihi. Ag means to go upward. So flame will always go upward. You can never see fire turning downwards. So that property is captured in this word, Agni. Jwalanaha means, Jwalati means to burn. That which burns is Agni. So that is another property that is captured in this word, Jwalanaha. Shushma means the one that dries. Agni has the property to dry. That is another property. So just by learning Amarakosha, kids will also learn lot of science. So the properties of fire they know. Pavakaha means one that purifies. Agni has the property of purifying. So gold is purified using fire. And Analaha, this alam in Sanskrit means enough. Analaha means for one for whom nothing is enough. So fire is that one thing who can never be satisfied. That property is captured in this word Analaha. And Vanhihi means one who carries. Vahati means to carry. So this is from that same root word, vah. What does fire carry? In the yajnas, the offerings were put in fire, and it was said that fire carries that to the gods. So again, this is not a superstitious belief that fire carries this to the god. It's not a superstition. I'll tell you something very valuable now. Yajna, it's a huge laboratory. It's not just a religious act. It is a huge laboratory. There is a lot of science involved in it. Now you know we are burning unwanted chemicals, and you know what effect it is having on the environment. Vaidika people did just the opposite. They put very pure, very good things into the fire, this smoke went into the atmosphere. It produced good quality clouds and gave good rain and hence good crops. So there are some specific herbs also that are mentioned which need to be put at specific seasons. During specific seasons, specific herbs are put into the yajna. So it's a lot of science involved in this. Yajna is a laboratory, you can say. Uh, so that
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. I mean, we keep hearing news. Why are we doing yagna? So much raw material is being wasted. So much wood is being cut to make these fires and all. But then, if somebody understands the scientific aspect of it, as you mentioned, laboratory, the word itself is such a great thing. If people understand what we are doing, what the people who are conducting the yagnas are doing, they will know that they are doing it for the development of the world, for the betterment of the world. But then that is lost in the you know uh, the education that we are getting these days in the country, that we are not able to put across this message properly to the younger generation. But amazing that you have mentioned this point. So I hope whoever is listening to this uh, topic, make note of it and let your kids know about these great aspects, these yagnas that we do, the people who do these yagnas. So do let your kids know this. Thank you.
Actually, some people have started doing Vedic farming. There they are doing the yajnas in specific places, and the results are recorded. The quality of crops is very good. There is a science also involved. I'm not. I listened to a presentation of a person who did this, who is practicing the Vedic farming, and it is giving good results. But we really need more people, especially young next generation. Should if they know all these things, they can start exploring these things and bring it out and bring it out in the application form. That is, they should make it application based so that humanity can benefit. And I told you in Sanskrit, the words are not object specific. So in English, we have teacher. But in Sanskrit, there are so many words for teacher. Shiksha, Shikshakaha is one who disciplines a student. Adhyapakaha is one who gives information, and Upadhyayaha is one who gives knowledge combined with information. Acharyaha is one who imparts a specific skill, like Dronacharya, because he is imparting the skill of archery. Panditaha is one who gives deep insight into something. Like, for example, Narayana Pandita. He is the one who wrote Panchatantra. So through stories he is giving that deep insight to life. Through stories he is doing, so he is a Pandita. And Guru, who is one who removes the ignorance and brings out that spiritual light in someone. But nowadays, everyone calls even a teacher Guru. They call like that. And many people call me also Guru, and Guru Purnima wishes also I get. But I'm not a Guru. I come into the category of Acharya because I impart the skill of Sanskrit.
Yeah, actually, it's so funny. I mean, English is the dominant language in today's world, but English is very limited in its understanding of the actual Sanskrit as such. When you say just teacher, nothing is conveyed out of it. Probably the person is teaching. That's it. But then when we see this, the as you say, Amarakosha, or the synonyms of teacher in Sanskrit, we have so many words. I mean, Mr. Rajiv Malhotra has written a book called The Non-Translatables, right? So he says all these things in that book where you can't translate the word in English. I mean, the Sanskrit word can't be translated into English, though English is the dominant language. So yeah, it's very funny, Yeah.
Somebody has asked, can you repeat for Shushma and Pavaka? Shushma, Shoshayati means to dry. So Shushma is one who dries, like who has the property to dry things. Fire has that property to dry up things. And Pavaka has one who purifies. Pavanam, we say, no? Well, same from the same root. This is also Pavaka is one who purifies. Fire has the property to purify. Okay. So then, how learning Sanskrit will help in learning other languages? This I'll share my own experience. So Tamil is my mother tongue, but I was born and brought up in Mysore. So though I know to speak Tamil, I didn't know to read and write. Soon after marriage, I picked up reading Tamil, but writing only now recently I've started writing. Any Tamil speakers here in the audience? So in Tamil, the major problem is that I faced. I think many people who learn Tamil face this. There are two nas there, one with two loops and the other with three loops. You don't know when to put what. I was getting confused. Then I sat with my husband. I mapped it with the Panini. What I told you all, the places from where the sounds come. I actually mapped it with that, and now I am clear when to use which now. So if you are a Tamil speaker, if you know Tamil, then what I have put here, I think you will understand what I'm trying to say. But I don't think there are any Tamil speakers, so I won't go into explaining this. And now that I'm in Netherlands, I have started learning Dutch. Little bit, only 3 classes I've done so far. The third class was like this. When I saw this initially, I was a bit confused. Ik ben, jij bent, hij is, zij is, wij is. I was like, what? How do I remember all this? Ik ben is I am, jij bent is you are, hij is he is, zij is she is. For some ben is coming, for some bent is coming, for some is coming, for some sein is coming. How do I learn this? Then I went to my in Sanskrit. Any Sanskrit student will be taught like this. This table will be taught. Anybody who has learned Sanskrit, I think you're very familiar. You'll be very familiar with this table. So I put Dutch in this table, and then everything became very clear. So this third person, we in Sanskrit, this Pratama Purusha refers to the third person. He, she, anything, any other noun will come in third person. In second person, it is you, and the plural you all. First person I and we all. In Sanskrit, there is dual, but in Dutch there is no dual. So I mapped it like this. So, okay, for third person, singular is comes. For third person, plural sein comes. For second person, singular bent comes. So, like this, I mapped it and things became very easy for me. Now I can use this very confidently. Yeah.
Yeah, when we were learning Sanskrit, it's like the endings. See, Tita Anti, Sita Tha, Ani Ava Ama. So this is how we used to by heart the whole thing. But then once I started understanding the logical aspect of it, then it was very simple to understand. As you mentioned about Dutch, I've been learning Spanish for like a decade now. So my one of my professors told me that the Romance languages or the European languages have actually a base in Sanskrit. The Latin, they come from Latin, and Latin has some base in Sanskrit. So we are not far away from the saying that Sanskrit is the mother of all, not just Indian languages, but the languages of the world. So yeah, amazing.
Yeah, somebody put moi, that is beautiful in Dutch. Somebody in the comments has. Okay. So, because in Sanskrit we have given structure to everything. When we learn something new, we try to map it to that structure, and everything becomes very easy. That is a great advantage of learning Sanskrit. Okay, then coming to the shlokas and mantras, many people that who join my class, their main intention is to understand the meanings of shlokas and mantras. Definitely, it's a wonderful initiative that those people have taken, because no amount of translation can give you that feel of understanding the meaning in Sanskrit itself. uh, One thing, like I told you, the rasabhanga doesn't happen when you're reciting itself. You start understanding the meanings. Another thing is, these shlokas and mantras, when you recite, they give um, there is a scientific study that is done, Sanskrit effect. If you type in Google, you'll be able to see a proper scientific study has been done, that those who recite the Sanskrit shlokas and mantras, the gray matter in their brain is more compared to those who don't recite them. Apart from the scientific study, I think we all will be able to make out some kind of peace, some happiness when we recite these. That itself tells about the language. It has something special in it. Now there is a problem of this scienticism. There is scienticism, that is, we try to prove everything through science. But the problem is, there are two main drawbacks in this. One thing is, science keeps changing. Second thing is, this scienticism, because the science cannot capture some things. Like, for example, arati we try to prove scientifically how it is useful. But science keeps changing. But um, it does also, science cannot capture the psychological effect that it has on us. It gives some kind of peace. Something happens within us that science cannot capture. So, shlokas and mantras chanting, and if you know the meaning, it will be even more effective. So, to know the meaning, Sanskrit knowledge is necessary. Okay. Uh, then, apart from shlokas and mantras, we have the Sanskrit literature, that is kavyas and natakams, dramas. Why should we read these? Uh, they are aesthetically very pleasing. Definitely, when you read some of them, you yourself will understand what I'm talking about. That aesthetic pleasure that you get out of reading them I cannot describe it in words. Apart from that, it improves your Sanskrit vocabulary. It improves your imaginations and all that. But the main thing what I feel is these kavyas and natakams, they have captured the culture, the um, the way of thinking of the people of the Sanatana Dharma, that is captured in these works. So, if I give an example, I'll give an example from Kalidasa's Abhignana Shakuntalam. So, in this drama, there is this king Dushyanta who goes hunting in the forest, and he finds a nice deer. He's chasing the deer, and he's going behind the deer. He's almost targeted the deer. The arrow is pointing to the deer. He's about to hit it, but immediately at that time, three hermits of the ashram of Kanva Maharshi's ashram is there nearby. These three hermits of that ashram, they come and they say, "Stop! This is the ashram's deer. You are not supposed to hunt it, and your weapons are to protect the weak and not to kill the innocent." The moment the hermits say that, King Dushyanta immediately puts down the arrow. Though King Dushyanta is in a very powerful position, he is the king. He is the one who is actually funding the ashrams. In spite of that, he gives so much value and respect to the words of the rishis there. So that is our culture. That is the culture of Sanatana Dharma. We give so much respect to elders, to the learned and the wise. So when kids are exposed to this kind of literature, this kind of culture starts getting imbibed in them. I'll give another example from the same thing. So King Dushyanta, he's come near the ashram, so he thinks, okay, I'll pay a visit to the ashram. He does not take his chariot or charioteer into the ashram because it will disturb the silence of the ashram. So he asks his charioteer to park the chariot far from the ashram so that we don't cause any disturbance. And he removes all the jewelry and the grand clothing, and gives it to his charioteer. He wears simple clothes, and his dialogue, Kalidas has written the dialogue of Dushyanta like this: Vinita Veshena Praveshtavyani Tapovanani. That is, we have to enter these places, these spiritual places, with modest clothing. So you can imagine what kind of how the mind gets shaped when the child reads this kind of work. Nowadays, when I visit some temple or ashram, I see kids like wearing all kinds of clothes, but because we have lost the touch with our culture. But when we read, when we expose the kids to this kind of literature, definitely their minds will be shaped uh, according to what they read.
Precisely. I mean, this is when we read our literature, when we read Sanskrit literature, there is holistic development happening in our kids. I mean, when we teach them, not only we reading it, I mean, we also understand how it was in the ancient days, but we are teaching it to our kids, and how beautiful it would be in the future when kids are exposed to this kind of literature. I mean, holistic development happens because of this
Yeah.
literature.
And also reading kavyas and natakams, what they do is uh, that speaking skills, how to speak, that also is that I would say one of the major benefits of reading these works. Uh, how to speak where, um, and with whom, how we have to speak, all that skill starts developing when we read these things. In the same story, I'll give the example. So King Dushyanta goes into the ashrama. There, Shakuntala, along with her two friends, Anasuya and Priyamvada, they are watering the plants. And when Dushyanta comes in front of them, they are a bit perplexed. He doesn't look like a person of the ashram. He looks like a royal person, very powerful person. So they're curious to know who he is. But the way they ask him, they don't ask, "Who are you? From where you have come?" They don't ask like that. They ask like this: Katama Aryena Rajarshi Vamsho Alankriyate? Which royal lineage is adorned by you, O noble one? So polite, but at the same time, it's asking in a very refined way.
Very beautiful. Look at the way they're asking. I mean, who asks this nowadays? They're like on the face, right? But this is so beautifully asking the person, not offending that person by asking intruding questions, right?
Yes. And the next question she asks, Katamo va viraha paryutsuka janaha krito deshaha? Which country, which land, which country is suffering from the separation from you, viraha, that which country is suffering from the viraha, the suffering from separation? That instead of asking from where you came, she's asking like this. And then she asks, Kim nimittam va sukumara taropi tapovana gamana parishramasya atma padam upanitaha. She's asking, you look very delicate. You don't look like a forest person living in the forest. You look very delicate, but still, what made you to take so much trouble to come to this ashram? She's asking like that. So very refined way. We start developing these kind of speaking skills when we read this kind of literature. Oh, संस्कृतेन वक्तुं वदति विजय शास्त्री महोदय. अहं वदामि, अन्ते किञ्चित् संस्कृतेन वदामि. Um, then, okay, so Sanskrit is the language of shishtas. Who is a shishta? Shishta is a person who is capable of being a role model, who is capable of being followed. That person is called a shishta. Now, it is a very well known fact, it's natural. You can observe the language captures the culture of the people who speak it. And the language that we speak, when we speak a particular language, we imbibe the culture of the people who speak that language.
Perfect.
Say, for example,
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah. So you can observe this in India. Some families speak in English at home like their mother tongue, and you can see that their lifestyle, their way of thinking, everything will be Western. It applies to any other language. So and why we have now we are not completely in touch with Sanatana Dharma is because Sanskrit is removed from our education system. That is the reason. And there is this every language has its own consciousness, its own energy, you can say. So Sanskrit prajna is different from English prajna, English consciousness. I'm not saying English is a bad language, it is beautiful in its own way, but its consciousness is different from that of Sanskrit. How? I'll tell you how. Take this concept of time. In the West, time is linear. So they mark chronologically everything. 1200 BC, then AD, and everything marked chronologically. But in Indian culture, uh, time is not linear. For us, Kala is a chakra. For us, time is cyclical. So if you take any work, say Kalidasa's work, you won't find the time, the date when he wrote it. And the Western scholars or Western influenced Indian scholars, They will spend their whole life searching for the date when it was written. But it's not at all an important aspect for us, because for us time is cyclical, it keeps repeating. And same way, Puranas we have, they are not mythology. Purana is not mythology. What is Puranam? Puratanam chedapi navam. It is old, but it is still new, because Puranas are they capture the essence of the Vedas through stories that actually happened, and they present it to us so that we can apply the teachings of the Vedas in our life. That is what the Puranas do. So it is not the same as mythology. So these things are very different. But now what the problem is, we look at everything through our lens of English education, and that is the problem. If you take Ayurveda, in Ayurveda, uh, and if you take Western medicine, there are two different approaches altogether. In Western medicine, they dissect the body and study each part. But the concept, the spirit of Ayurveda is totally different. In Ayurveda, there is a swastha purusha, a healthy being, ideal one, and a person is compared with the swastha purusha, and seeing what is different from in this person and in the swastha purusha, and they are treated like that. That is the concept of Ayurveda. In Ayurveda there is actually no dissection, but I think now they are doing it in the Ayurvedic colleges because of the influence. But otherwise, if you dissect a human body, you can't find vata, pitta and kapha. But does that mean Ayurveda is it's a hoax science? No, because it is giving such wonderful results. The problem is we are looking at Indic sciences through the lens of Western principles. That is the problem. So to understand our own way of thinking, the Indic way of thinking, we need to learn Sanskrit.
Yeah, I discourage the use of mythology with respect to Indian culture. I mean, mythology is something which is is not a fact. It is
Mm,
something. It is a myth. Our history, our so itihasas and Puranas are not myths. They are something which have happened, as you've mentioned, and they have been taken from, inspired by the Vedas, and they have been put across so that people can understand it easily. Not everybody can understand the Vedas, but everybody can understand the Puranas.
yes.
So that is why they can't be equated with mythology.
Yeah.
Mythology is the wrong word when it is used in the sense of Indian context. Yeah,
Yes.
that's absolutely right.
And Ayurveda is one, but there are so many. Okay, before this, I'll tell you, for Sanskrit, what has happened is people are not finding the social value. That is, if I study Sanskrit uh, in the society, what job I will get? That is one question that comes to many people. Now, Sanskrit people study just for the for intellectual pursuits. So we have to understand that there is social value also in Sanskrit. Only thing is we have to start applying our Indic Shastras to the present day and show the value it has. Only then people will understand the value of Sanskrit and also our Shastras. So I'll give example like Ayurveda. Now it is, people are seeing lot of value in it. There is also Hasti Ayurveda, which is for elephants. And when I was teaching at Akshar Center for Education, Waldorf School, there were three Belgian kids. Their mother was a veterinary doctor. She's from Belgium. They were in Chennai for a few years. So when she was in India, she learned Ayurveda, many concepts, and she applied it to dogs. Uh, Dogs were her patients, dogs and cats, and excellent results. And I heard her saying, she said, it's very sad to see that Indians have so much knowledge, but they don't value their own knowledge. And there is Vriksha Ayurveda, which is Ayurveda for plants and trees, and Pushpa Ayurveda. Aromatherapy is now, many people might have heard about aromatherapy. So this is like our aromatherapy. So if some kid or somebody here listening, anybody who listens to it in future, if you take up this Pushpa Ayurveda and popularize it, bring it into application so that it benefits people at large, then that would be wonderful. So there is lot of scope and there is a lot of requirement also for people to take up some subject in which they are good, and to bring the Indic Shastras to light, to application. So, so far the success stories, we have seen yoga is a huge success. People are seeing the benefits. Ayurveda is a huge success. This now people more and more people are coming into this Ayurveda, and even Panini's Ashtadhyayi is a huge success. Lot of interest is there. People are taking lot of interest because it has its application in natural language processing. The way Panini Maharshi has written the Ashtadhyayi, it is very in a very scientific way he has written, and it is said that it's very easy to teach machines our language through his method. So that is also a huge success. And of course, our Vedanta is huge success. Swami Vivekananda took it to the West, and that is also a huge success. But there is lot of scope for other areas also to become huge success like this. One I said is Pushpa Ayurveda, uh, and there are some more that I'll tell you. I just wanted to tell you this thing before I go to the what all scopes are there. So now you can see in this picture, this man is standing on a heap of ladders, and he wants to cross over the wall. He could have just taken one ladder and kept it upright, then he could have done it easily. This is the condition that we are in actually. We Indians are sitting on top of a heap of knowledge, but we are not applying them. If we take one shastra and find its application, then we will also benefit, and the humanity will also benefit. So some areas that I have found which can be worked on. There are many others, but these are some that I have recognized and I have heard of. And Tarka is something that I feel if somebody can take it up and do, it would be wonderful. Tarka is this reasoning and logic. Our Tarka Shastra it's excellent. Um, Tarka is needed by everyone, any field you take. To understand any subject, proper logical reasoning is needed. And to communicate that subject to others, also proper logical reasoning is needed. Uh, Tarka is the science of logic and reasoning. So, especially kids, if we teach them, it will be great. If they take any field, they can take any field in future. This Tarka will help them. And Mimamsa is the science of interpretation. There is a Supreme Court judge called Markande Khadju. His judgments were always very accurate and precise, and he was using the principles of Mimamsa while writing his judgments. He has written a book also about Mimamsa. So I think for lawyers and people in this field, it will be very useful. This Mimamsa was actually used to interpret the Vedas, but it is very scientific. The principles that are used in Mimamsa can be applied to various other fields also. You can Google Justice Markande Kadju. You will see his book, and he has spoken about Mimamsa. And Jyotisha Nowadays Jyotisha is just we are putting it to astrology, future prediction, matchmaking, and um, okay, somebody has chosen Jyotisha. Yes. Yeah, Jyotisha, it has lot of applications. Jyotisha is not just limited to matchmaking, but in organizations, in corporates, you can use the science of Jyotisha to find to put to place the right person in the right job, so that the person, that individual, is also satisfied with the job, and also the corporate benefits from his skills. You can use, actually, one of the students of MIT IAKS, from where I did MSc Vedic Sciences, he has taken up the science of Jyotisha and also from concepts from Bhagavad Gita and other shastras, and he has actually devised a plan to put the right person in the right job, and many corporates have recognized his work. He has developed something very valuable. So you can do that in Jyotisha also, f- for helping a person to understand what his skills are. Maybe you can use Jyotisha to help a person to uncover his talents, what his inherent skills are. That also, maybe you can work on that. And there is Paka Shastra, cooking, and then there is something called Chitra Sutram. It is about color combinations, art, and all that. That Shastram is this Chitra Sutram, and Shilpa Shastram is sculptry. And in Chandas, I made a video. I'm making a series of videos on my YouTube channel about Vedas, Vedangas, and Upangas. In that, I have told about this Chandas. This Chandas has lot of mathematics in it. There is a professor called Professor Ramasubramaniam. He has studied them thoroughly, and he is bringing out all these maths in the Chandas. So anybody in the field of maths, you can explore the Chandas Shastra and bring. Actually, there was, it seems there was there was a formula kind of thing in Chandas Shastra, and people are telling it's meaningless. But after many years now, they have found, because only now West is able to come to that level of understanding the meaning of that equation. So many things are there like that. um, I hope any kid is watching here is has got inspired to do something in this field. I would say for kids, you study the Western the science also, and side by side you get into the Indic Shastra also. So you will be able to make the comparison. You will definitely be able to see that Indic Shastras have gone a lot more deeper, and so it will help you in actually applying it in the current scenario, because now we are living in a modern world. Maybe you can study that also, but don't leave out the Indic Shastra. That's what I'm saying. Take that Indic Shastra also, study it, and apply it in this current scenario so that it benefits everyone. So, and if parents are watching, then maybe I hope you will inspire your kids to do something in these lines. Indic Shastras, another thing is Indic Shastras are they are that sustainability. The heart of the Indic philosophy of life is, it's not just me, me, me. I should live. Let other creatures, let other things, let them go however they want. I should be happy. My luxury is important. That is not our philosophy of life. Our philosophy of life is, I should also be happy, and every other creature on this earth should also be happy. That is our philosophy of life. So that is why I hope some people who are watching this will study these Indic Shastras and bring them into application. Uh, I think I have taken a lot of time. If any questions? Oh, is there anything for music? Yes, yes. There is Sangeeta Shastra is there. You can explore that definitely.
Amazing that you have covered so much. It's great. I mean, to see so many things which are available in Sanskrit. I have covered a video on Vaimanika Shastra. There's scientific applications. The Bharadwaja Maharshi and we have Agastya Maharshi who's spoken about dry cell. People are putting it to use now, right?
Yes.
And then they are finding uses for our technology that we have we have worked on, and now they are, the western world is working on that and they're developing prototypes. I don't know why we can't do it. That is because, as you've rightly mentioned, there is a lack of understanding in our own culture about the greatness of Sanskrit. So the next generation, and I hope the parents who are watching and the kids who might be watching, please let the next generation know the importance and the greatness of Sanskrit, because we have so much to give to the world. Shubhaji has mentioned about Ayurveda. Shubhaji has mentioned about the Sanskrit literature, the kind of human being the next generation kids can become when they read our scriptures. The beauty of Vak Shuddhi, or the cognitive intelligence, the there are so many things. I mean, I can't even uh, give a list. It's unending. Only
Yes.
thing is, we have to put our mind, apply, and get into it, and it will be an amazing thing. Just let the next generation get into it, and we'll see a miraculous things. I mean, miraculous things happening for us. So, thank you so much, people. But if you have any questions, please ask before we take leave of Miss Shubha. Do you guys have any questions? You've mentioned about IK, I mean, about MSc in MIT IIKS, right?
Yes.
So, what exactly is it? Is this like Indic knowledge system that we have been hearing?
They teach you how to approach shastras, how to study. Excellent university. Anybody who is interested in doing any work in Indic knowledge system, I would highly recommend MIT IIKS Pune. Uh, I have, I mean, the faculty there, they are very good, excellent. So I will highly recommend them. What is Pushpa Ayurveda? It's Ayurveda about the flowers. If you know about aromatherapy, each flower, the smell, they take these oils from the flower and use it for each flower has some property. Like, I think rose is some cooling and some they have something like that. So Pushpa Ayurveda is something like that. Through flowers, you treat the people.
Yeah.
It's the science of like flowers.
Anything else that you guys want to ask? Please talk about the courses that you conduct for kids. If you can just speak about the courses that you.
Okay. Course I teach Sanskrit. Um, that is for kids. I do like a basic level for kids. Then they join the level one. Prarambha is the course that I do, where adults are also uh, welcome to join that course. That is a 4 months course where I start from the basics of Sanskrit, and by the end of 4 months, you will be able to make sentences. When you hear somebody speak in Sanskrit, you will be able to understand that well. And in the after that course, so grammar also I teach. I give practice for spoken Sanskrit also, and the vocabulary building, everything. So it will equip you to start understand. When you hear, you'll understand, you'll start speaking also. And in the level 2, I teach how to understand the meaning of shlokas. So you might have seen big words in Sanskrit shlokas, how to split them and how to interpret shlokas. Uh, that I teach in level 2. In level 3, I'm yet to make that course, but in level 3, I'm planning to do how to study shastras. If you take up a shastra, how you need to study, because just because I know Sanskrit, I cannot say I can study any shastra just like that. There is a science to study shastras. uh, okay, you can send me an email to tatvam.sanskrit@gmail.com. Or you can subscribe to my channel Tattvam. There I will, anyhow, I have put. Okay, Jayatri is my student. She's, yeah, she's been commenting. Yeah.
What is the website name? Tattvam?
No, email is, my website is tattvam.org and email is tattvam.sanskrit@gmail.com.
Okay. Sorry.
Tattvam is TATTVA. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. VAM.
Uh, to read our granthas, okay, you need to know Sandhi Samasas. If you know that, you can start reading the granthas. If you are in that level. Okay.
So you can visit tattvam.org to check out the courses that Shobhaji is doing. And you can also visit her YouTube channel. She's doing some great videos on Sanskrit and also on the different aspects of Vedas. So, yeah, it's been
Yes,
a
for reading Moola Ramayana or Mahabharata, yeah, you need to basic level Sanskrit. That is, you should know, you should have some vocabulary and the structure of the language you should know, and you should be able to split the Sandhi and Samasa knowledge. If you have, then you can read Ramayana, Mahabharata. Yeah, a lot of papers done.
lot
Okay.
of papers are done, but unfortunately, not many have been put into practice. So that
Uh,
is the reason why we are lacking. I mean, there are many people from the Western world who are actually doing research on Vaimanika Shastra and developing the prototypes. I've actually done a video on this, and I've shown some videos where people are actually developing those, and they are getting good results out of it. I mean, I'm amazed that we are not able to do it and carry forward the legacy. But yeah, there are so many things. There are so many scientific discoveries that our great rishis and munis have made, which have to come to light. And people like Shivaji will surely bring that across to all of us. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So maybe we can end with Shanti Mantra. So as I said, our philosophy is, Indic philosophy is, we, we all should be happy, not just I
Vasudhaiva
should be
Kutumbakam.
happy.
All
So
the whole world is a family. Vasudhaiva
yeah,
Kutumbakam.
yeah. So maybe you can repeat after me if you don't know this shloka. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining. Please follow both of us on our respective YouTube channels and do support us in our future endeavors. Thank you so much. Namaste.